I'm Rick, and I'd like to talk about putting decorative plugs into your speargun. A speargun should be functional. It should shoot where you think you're pointing it, and it should be strong and robust and resist any of the normal knocks and bumps that it gets on an average dive day. But it doesn't hurt if it looks good either. One way of tricking out your speargun is to use two different coloured timbers, and maybe add a little bit of decoration by putting circular plugs in along your stock. If done right, it doesn't compromise strength or durability, and it adds to the looks. But how do you do it? Well, first you think about it and plan what you're going to do so you don't stuff it up halfway through. Then you drill some holes into your stock. I prefer to do this while your stock is still in the square. It's much easier to do it accurately this way. The hole you drill needs to be neat. You don't want it oval or wobbly or anything like that. If there's any irregularities, it will show up later. My preference is to use a Forstner bit, although a spade drill will do at a pinch. Spade drill's a little bit cheaper. But you do need to do it in a drill press. That prevents any wobbling from side to side. I suppose it's possible to do it with a hand drill, but you'd have to have a much steadier hand than I've got. Next, you need to get the plugs to put into the holes. In this case, I decided to use a red gum plug. The tools you use to cut the plugs are called plug cutters. I cut them from a thickish piece of timber, in this case maybe 14mm. Thickness is important. Those plugs should extend well down into the stock timber. The plug cutters really only work in a drill press. Anything else and you get a very, very strange shaped plug. It's really important to get the grain going in the right direction. The straight line is the alignment and the arrow is the direction. If you don't get both of these the same when you put the plugs into the stock, it will show in the finished product. I draw on the line and the arrow before I start drilling and cutting. So we've got them aligned and ready for insertion into the stock. I use epoxy to glue them in. I find it a lot easier to mix the stuff if I use scales. Make sure you use plenty of glue. You don't want any voids into which water can creep. Take your time and take care. Make sure that they're aligned properly and they're pushed all the way down into the holes. I use masking tape to secure them. Leave them overnight to let that epoxy cure, and don't fiddle with them in the meantime. In the morning you should find plugs securely glued in, but sticking up a little bit proud. Take them down smooth with the surface of the stock. If there are any gaps around the edges, fill that with more epoxy. Then you forget them. You shape the stock just as you would, as if there was no plugs in there at all. Take the corners off, sand it down, and just go on to finish the gun.